Hello, everybody. Getting ready to cover and highlight a tornado warning. And good evening, Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. It is 5:40 p.m. Central Time, and we have a tornado warning issued for that storm I just posted about moments ago. Let's get right to the latest on the radar right now. As we go through, you can see right along the county border here, the state border, I should say, with South Dakota, Minnesota, and North Dakota. We have that little pink box there. That's where the tornado warning. This is an observed tornado that has been on the ground. We'll go ahead and show you the highlights on that. It's moving off to the east only 5 miles per hour. And let's go ahead and pull up some radar data here from a site just a little bit closer. Let me switch it over to the Mayville radar here, and we'll get this loaded up. So let's see if we can do that here. There it is. Okay, so as this data loads, what you're going to notice here is this storm system is working its way slowly. It does have some hail associated with it. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for the area as well, for some hail upwards of 1 inch in diameter. Again, this is crossing the border. Let's go ahead and take a look at the velocity on this to show you exactly where things are going. If you have a question, let me know. And thanks for joining me on Hutch's Weather. Here is a look at the rotating part of the storm. There is a little couplet right here, but it's stronger down to the south of the Ross Holt area right now. So what that means is if you happen to be getting ready, heading out to the lake, there is a tornadic storm at the confirmed tornado on the ground that has worked its way through. Now that tornado, weather spotters confirmed it at 5:29 just east of the Dakota Magic Casino is where it was reported. So that would be at the Highway 1 exit here, just right there, and that's it, and moving its way right through the Ross Holt area. So even though it's on the edge of the warned box that you see out here, it's a very dangerous storm off in that area. Let me go ahead and look at a couple of other things. We'll see if there's any increased clues as to the location of it. And yes, we do see some of these blues in here, which would indicate that we could indeed have some debris lofted into the atmosphere by this storm. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of the cameras down there. Here's the North Dakota side of the interstates. As we take a look at the DOT cameras, there are a number of them in this exact area. As we go down to southeast North Dakota, right at the border here, we may be able to see it. We do have someone here that looks like a trooper out observing the storm going on out there. So definitely keeping their eyes on the storm as it's working its way through. Not able to see much. We're seeing mostly roads with that particular view on the camera. Now, as we take a look at the camera just a little bit to the north of that, here's another view, and there is the storm. There is the flat base of the thunderstorm on I-29 down at the South Dakota border. You can even see the water tower on the left side of the picture there, indicating where the Dakota Magic Casino is. So that's down there near the border. Let's take a look from the far western edge near Foreman. Not sure if we'll be able to see anything. Nope, I'm not going to even pull that up. Let's go to South Dakota. We do have a couple of great cameras there as well. A dangerous storm working its way right along the border, moving across the river valley there at the headwaters of where the beginning of the Red River is down there. Here is a look at the area of the camera down here along the South Dakota side of the border. This is at Victor, and taking a look at the dark skies there. So this isn't too far from where we have the tornado warning, and this says it all right here. You're looking from I-29 at the Victor exit right here, and very dark skies. You see the lowered cloud base right here. We do not see or cannot see beyond that where there is a funnel cloud, but we definitely do have a very strong thunderstorm there, capable of some large hail working its way through. And we do have that tornado warning that's been issued by the National Weather Service. Notice that the tornado warning has been updated. We do have some more debris right along the border showing up on this radar. So we now have 2 tornado warnings associated with this. Remember, I showed you 2 couplets. National Weather Service now issuing another tornado warning. So let's get to the latest on that. Let's go down to the I-29 corridor just off to the east. So here you go. You got this North Dakota side of the storm here. That's for an observed tornado moving east at 8 miles per hour. That warning is in effect until 6:15. I'm sorry, let me turn the timeline on here. So for the next half hour, you can see this blue spot there. That is the debris that is likely being lofted in the atmosphere just off to the east of the Dakota Magic Casino. It says sirens are going off in Herman, Minnesota. Thank you, Katie, for sharing that. This is a ways away, and it is moving very slow as you look at the storm. So Herman being in that area of Grant County. Indeed, this is a dangerous storm, and you'll want to seek shelter. And notice here we got the big lake out there. So if if you happen to be out and watching Hutch right now, and you are in a camper over there at the Lake Traverse, just down to the south, you need to get out of objects or structures like that, seeking shelter in a more sturdy building. So again, tornado warnings. Now, the second tornado warning that dips down here just a little bit farther south into South Dakota and parts of west central Minnesota is also for the same cluster of storms. Let me see if I can clear that out and take a look. This is until 6:15. It's moving 5 miles per hour. And what we're dealing with here is a couple of different National Weather Service forecasts office, one in Aberdeen and another one up in the Grand Forks area here, issuing 2 warnings concurrently together for the same storm. And again, we do have some debris showing up here on the radar right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the regular radar display as we take a look. And I might switch over to the radar out here in Aberdeen. They're both pretty close to the storm. This is a look at the, well, this is a composite radar. My apologies. Let me see if I can switch over to Aberdeen now. There it is. Okay, so the Aberdeen radar picking up 2 very healthy cores. So from Durant through Campbell and on towards Tinta, there's a hail core up here that looks to be intensifying. This is the storm that is associated with the tornado that has been reported on the ground. Way back here is where we're seeing that debris signature. And now let's look at the Aberdeen radar. You can almost see that there's that little hook shape there, that little finger. When we get rotation in the cloud, it acts as a centrifuge, throwing raindrops and hailstones outside. So we got one area of possible rotation there, and there could be another one down on the other side of that storm as we look down into South Dakota as well. And if you happen to be along the Highway 75 corridor there north of Wheaton, seek shelter now. The Minnesota State Fair starts today. Indeed, it does. This is on the other side of the state, and they have a long time to wait, Ethan, before this storm makes its way there. Let's go back to the velocities on the cell here. And again, if you're in the path of this storm right now, it is dancing between communities here. Ross Holt, you're very, very close to it. As far as the spin in the storm goes, what we're looking at here is storm relative velocity. The storm is moving at 5 miles per hour, so we subtract or add that motion to the winds estimated by the Doppler radar. And right here, what we're seeing is that we do have that rotation just on the outside of what's going on. Now, up here is where we have the debris signature. So indeed, there is rotation here and a signature that there's debris in the air. And also we have the confirmation of a tornado on the ground here. And down to the south of that, south of Ross Holt, another area of spin or shear with that particular storm. Here's an update on the severe thunderstorm warning for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with a tornado possible as it rolls its way out through parts of Wilkin County, Traverse County, right down there, and heads on toward the area near Herman. So again, siren sounding in Herman. This is a very slow mover. Look, it's moving at 13 miles per hour. So let me go ahead and put a little tracker on this so you can get an idea of when the rotating part of the storm will be near you. So here's the rotating part of the storm in that Ross Holt area moving east-southeast. It's only moving at about 15 miles per hour. You can see Wheaton, you're going to be very close to the rotating part of that storm, and points north on the Highway 75 corridor there as it works its way off to the east. Now, the hail core is a different story. Let's take a look at that as we take a look at the hail cores. You got one moving into Campbell, another one down here that's also just crossing the state line, the North Dakota, South Dakota state line, and into Minnesota. So I guess we could call that right there at the triple point or the tri-state line. Now, as we go ahead and mark the leading edge of these hail cores right now, that's all moving off to the east at about that 15 to 20 mile per hour clip. So if you happen to be in Herman, it's still going to be on the outside of an hour before that reaches you. More concerned about the Wilkin County Fair going on right now, Jerry. Indeed, that is definitely something. There is a lot of very dark clouds in and around the area, and we're going to take you back to that Skycam now in South Dakota, because we were able to take a look at that from the South Dakota Skycam and take a peek at the clouds that are associated with this storm heading its way into parts of west central Minnesota right now. So we'll go on to the Minnesota side of the river here momentarily. This is that Victor camera, and again, wow, look at the thunderstorm here. We'll go ahead and make this a little more bigger. Now, there is the flat base or the updraft part of the storm, and way back in the distance here, it's a ways away, looking from the Dakota Magic Casino and out to the east where the skies really get dark. That is where the rotating part of the storm is. So the I-29 corridor to the right is east, and that is where where the storm is right now with that rotation and rotating part of the storm. This is looking off to the east-southeast. You can see the south edge of that thunderstorm cloud that is working its way off to the east with the tornado warned storm right now. Let's take a peek, just because we can, at the Minnesota DOT cameras here right quick and see if we can get any further view or looks at this particular storm, because we do have one out here not far from Herman. So let's see if we can take a peek at what the sky looks like. This does look like we're looking in the general direction of the storm to the west. Along the Highway 27 corridor there, we can see some water in the ditch, and here behind my head there's a little low-hanging cloud out there as well. So again, not able to see crystal clear evidence of what's going on with that. This is a little farther south near Graceville as we take a look at these clouds. And again, we get that confirmation of some thunderstorm activity in the area, but we cannot see what's going on with regards to the tornado on the ground. So I'll go back to the radar right now so you can keep up to date with the latest scan. And we'll tell you that there's been 2 confirmed sightings of the tornado now marked on your screen here. One on the North Dakota-South Dakota border, just off to the east of the Dakota Magic Casino. As we take a look at that, that tornado was reported by a trained spotter riding the North Dakota-South Dakota state line out there. And then as we zip down into parts of just in the northeasternmost South Dakota, 4 miles west of White Rock, observer estimated the location of the tornado that was on the ground and making contact with the ground. The hail core here, the rotation back on this other side here. So it is going to be very close to that Wheaton area as that rotating part of the storm makes its way through. Let's look at the straight velocity signature, and we see the strongest outgoing wind away from the Aberdeen radar right here, and some inbound wind on the other side. So there is still some very stout shear. It's going to be very close to you folks in Wheaton now as we're looking at this general vicinity here, just off to the east of Rossholt. And let me give you a marker on where that is. With respect to Rossholt, as we take a look from there to where the rotation is showing up, looks like it's about 7 miles off to the east. There is where the center of that rotation or that couplet would be located as it's working its way east. It's only moving east-southeast at about 15 miles per hour. So dangerous storm tonight. And again, we do want you to be seeking shelter in those interior rooms. And now if you happen to be out at fairgrounds, let's see. Just saw a pic of the tornado before jumping on, so there is some confirmation of it going on. If you do have photos, if you do have anything, I'll remind you, you can, please, when it's safe to do so, upload that to hutchesweather.com, hutchesweather.com. I'll take a look right there and see if we got anything coming in. And I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to upload your photos of the storms. So we do have some stormy weather going on out there as we take a look. I do have a couple pictures that I can approve here, but this is not of the storms that we're looking at right now, so I'm not going to pop that up on the screen at this particular time. But we do have some hot and humid weather out there right now. And again, I mentioned in one of the updates that the Storm Prediction Center had upgraded our risk of severe weather today to a slight risk category. We're continuing to see, let me switch the radars out here on this now and go back up to the Mayville radar. See if we can switch out and still see. Now it's a little farther away, but sometimes I like to look and confirm with a couple of different Doppler radars where we may have some signs of rotation. You see this right on the south edge of the box. That continues to concern me a little bit here on the south side of the storm, but here is the area that kind of tracks along with this storm as it's working its way off. That looks to be moving over the Highway 127 corridor as it gets ready to cross over the state line right now, if it indeed is still on the ground. So we'll keep you posted there. I'm going to take a look at what the National Weather Service is posting here with regards to information on this particular storm. So bear with me while I load up that page here real quick. Okay. Okay, so we do have the reports that came in just about 8 minutes ago of a tornado going up and down and riding the state line, a landspout type tornado observed east of the casino. So that's the one that we saw there. It appears to be a non-mesocyclonic as well. And tornado warning does continue. So yeah, we do have, I wonder if that's essentially, as we take a look at what we have going on here, There is some rotation in and around this particular area on the north side. On the south side, we're getting just a couple of different areas. So some spin with the storm. If you're in the vicinity of these thunderstorms, riding the state line and heading and crossing over into Minnesota, they are indeed dangerous, and they are indeed going to be capable of producing a tornado. In fact, that tornado warning does continue now for the next 15 minutes. Here's a look at the regular radar data as we go back and take a peek at that. You got a couple of different areas here that are a little bit on the concerning side. Down south near Wheaton, there is some shear showing up on that south side or southern flank of the storm down here. Just getting ready to move into that area of the Lake Traverse and Browns Valley area, north of Browns Valley on Lake Traverse. So if you are on Lake Traverse, seek shelter, get in that interior room, get out of campers and mobile homes and find something more sturdy. And then also, as we look up into the breadth of the storm right back here, we have 1, 2, 3 reports of tornadoes now. Here is the most recent one. Estimated location on the ground. This happened at 5:41. So let's see, that was about 15 minutes ago for that one on the east side. Here's another one near the Dakota Magic Casino that was reported. Let's see, it says 5:50. So just 6 minutes ago, this was a tornado visible from the sky cam there. And then as we take a look, we do have a spotter that also confirmed a tornado. So land spout type tornado, these ones are kind of far reaching or whatnot, and definitely something that you want to keep your eyes on. Coots is asking about Elbow Lake. So if we take a look at this storm and the track of the tornado, you can kind of see the track or path it's taken east or east-southeast right here as making its way right over the state line right now. So if you happen to be in Elbow Lake, well, that storm, this whole cluster of storms is moving in your general direction. But the storm warned for right now is right here. A couple of good signs, because it's not all bad news here when we're looking at weather. We got the hail core, which seems to be weakening just a touch when we look at it from the Mayville radar. Let's go back to the Aberdeen radar and see if that's the case. The Aberdeen radar, being closer, will get a lower slice in the atmosphere, not looking quite as high, and we still see some evidence closer to the ground. So maybe the storm is collapsing just a little bit as it works its way off to the east. So that's what's going on there. Going to go back. I think I do have some information coming in here. So let me double check and see if somebody didn't pop a picture up on hutchesweather.com. That is negative. And let's see what we have coming in here. So we've got information coming in on all channels, just trying to keep ahead of the storm for you. Let me go back on a little bit more of a regional view. Okay, so Heather, thank you very much for sharing pictures with me. If you would please upload them at hutchesweather.com to share them with everybody. I appreciate that. Or if you know the photo taker, you can ask them to upload that. But indeed, yeah, we do have some low-hanging clouds with a clear funnel and some evidence that it's reaching the ground down there as well. So if you happen to know the photo taker, I can't share them on air unless I get the permission directly from the one who took the photo. Now, here's what's going on. If you're in the Fargo-Moorhead area, as we take a look at what's going on across the region, we have a cold front moving through. We have south winds out ahead of it. It's hot, it's muggy. On the backside, the winds are shifting and becoming northwesterly. Your risk of severe out here, not so good. And in fact, as we look in the FM area, we still have a southerly wind. It's still very, very muggy out there. Sheila says, my husband seen a tornado tail, but it's now pouring rain here. Thank you, Sheila. Where are you reporting from? That's always helpful. I can't remember where everybody lives, and that's because my memory gets smaller as I advance in experience. Smiling. All right. How is Fergus Falls right now? Looking pretty good. Now, this storm is going to ride south into Grant County right now. You can see the red cluster of thunderstorm activity, and that really is the main event going on right now in our area. So we got these very robust thunderstorms out here producing a land spout type tornado. Those are usually a little skinnier, oftentimes more short-lived, but the thunderstorm does have some persistent rotation with it as it's working its way off to the east. So this is the main event right now. It is heading right into Grant County. So your county is going to see the activity with this particular storm, sometimes when we see this little cut into the storm right here, we have another cell on the north side, one on the south side. Sometimes this southerly cell can take a right turn. So we'll take a look at that and keep our eyes on that as it works its way through. So still a risk for some of these areas to see 1-inch diameter hail. Let's go ahead and analyze our atmosphere together while I have you on board here, and we're going to take a look at this together. So as we take a look at the, let's look at what's called the significant tornado parameter in this area. Notice how it's highlighted here near Wahpeton. That's not too far from where things did form. So this is a computer model calculation of the energy in the atmosphere that's going to bring all the factors in place, including humidity to fuel thunderstorms, rising air to kind of stretch that rotating updraft. And of course, you want that rotating column of air horizontally orientated over the area that gets pulled up into the vertical, and that's what we have. So this area here where we have the firing off of the storms does have some modeled tornado risk. Now as we look on the way all the way up, that increases as we go up towards International Falls. There is indeed some thunder shower or thunderstorm activity up in that area as we go through. Now the energy in the atmosphere, you can feel it. It's very sticky, air you can wear, you can't even dry off. I've changed my shirt 4 times today. It's just one of those kind of days. Now, this area here where you see the pink and this little light shade of blue, this is very high energy in the atmosphere, and that means that there is about, well, 5,000 joules, and that's a measurement of energy, per kilogram of air. That's a lot of energy to allow for rising air. So thunderstorms that form here in the Southern Valley could very quickly explode and really have strong updrafts supporting large hail. And this storm is right in that same area as well. Behind it, we have energy there, but not really that kick that we're needing in the atmosphere to form those clouds, at least presently. If we look at the satellite, it can give us an idea of where we have some of the tallest clouds. Boom, look at that. It's just pumping moisture up into the upper levels of the atmosphere with that rising buoyant air. And we're getting this huge, what looks like a huge tower of clouds spreading over Grant County and into Douglas County right now. But the storm is still right over here by the state line, the Minnesota, South Dakota, and Minnesota line area. Now there's a lot of energy and there is some spin in the atmosphere going on as we look off to the north there that we just examined, but not the towering thunderstorm or explosive thunderstorm development. Do you see this light haziness? That's that schmutz in the atmosphere. Once again, that smoke blowing its way in. So this is, again, where we have the energy in the atmosphere. This is where we have the spin in the atmosphere. And this is where the radar is showing us that we indeed do have some thunderstorms capable of producing some tornadoes, as we've had reported tornadoes along the North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota border right now. The warning does continue for both of the tornado warnings, one issued by the National Weather Service office in Grand Forks, this one here issued by the National Weather Service office in Aberdeen. They're working together to cover all these areas. Soon, the risk in and around southeast North Dakota will be rapidly exiting. Most of this energy is now working its way in towards Wheaton. We do have some hail cores rebuilding with this storm cell as we get the latest scan information in. And now we will go ahead and take a look at the rotation with this cell. Let's go ahead and look at straight velocity. And this is again from the radar from the National Weather Service forecast office in Aberdeen. So here is where the radar or the reports of tornadoes were. Those little red dots, those are tornado report icons, and those are all off to the south right on the state line. Here is where the rotation still remains with the storm. We're seeing a pretty vigorous wind away from the radar there in Aberdeen, and some winds blowing toward the radar. So that rotating part of the storm, one here not far from Wheaton, but then also up on the north side of this warning area, and this is motion away from the radar in red. See that? And toward the radar in green right here. That is the National Weather Service said mesocyclonic, but this is kind of what we would say a clockwise wind. That's backwards from what we typically expect from low pressure. So this could be a what we would call a clockwise circulation in the area along the state line there. Let's zoom in just a little bit closer, because that literally, this little couplet that we see here, motion away from Aberdeen, motion towards, is right here in the southeasternmost corner of North Dakota, just east of Highway 127 right now. And that's where we're looking at. Now, let's take a look and see if we're seeing evidence of any debris in the atmosphere. So we'll do that and look at what's called the, we call this CC, and it's kind of the similarity of targets. And see the blues here? It really continues to show the blues would indicate a low similarity between a horizontally oriented pulse by the radar and a vertically oriented pulse. And when that happens, it's usually indicative of oblong objects or objects that aren't round, like raindrops or in particular hailstones. So where we see these blue colors in the midst of all the reds, that is an evidence that we could be seeing some debris. Do you see what's going on down here? There was some spin and rotation in the atmosphere here just off to the west of Wheaton. My concern is also in that area and for the folks in that area. Let's see, I've got a few more shared reports here. Ashley says, what about Aberdeen? My son is there. Trying to keep them updated. Well, Aberdeen, if I take just a zoom out here real quickly, we'll show you that there are some thunderstorms that are off to the west of east of Aberdeen, but most of the risk is now out of that particular area at this particular time. So Aberdeen right now is not in as much of a risk area as what's going on here near the North Dakota, South Dakota border right now. So that's what's going on there. Let's see, another question, trying to keep up with all of you. Traverse County, yep, Traverse County, you do have that storm warning, as you see right here in Traverse County. And that storm is heading into the Wheaton area now with a hail threat, and there could be some strong storm activity making its way in there. And there is some evidence of some rotation moving in toward the Wheaton area right now. Any trouble for Jamestown? Jeanette says, thank you for your question. And right now you are on the safety side of the storm. Let me go ahead and review with you the Storm Prediction Center's upgraded risk of severe. You can see Aberdeen is in the yellow, which means you have a slight risk of severe storms there, but everything is firing here and off to the south of you. So that doesn't mean your threat is absolutely zero, but it does mean it is a lot lower than your neighbors off to the east of you right now. Same thing goes for Fargo-Moorhead. This has passed us just by a trickle, and because of that, I'm thinking our risk is dropping off, even though it is muggerific out there as you take a look at our risk for storms today. So the upgrade to a slight risk area in our area happened this afternoon from the Storm Prediction Center. Back to the radar we go, and back to your questions we go. Scott, thank you so very, very much for your stars. I went ahead and threw a heart on that one there because I appreciate your support of Hutch's Weather. We had small tornado form between Hankinson and Fairmount a while ago. Thank you very much, Juan. I'll see if I can report that, but between Hankinson and the Fairmount area, that would have been very early stages of this on the far western area right here as we look down on the radar. So let's go back down here. We may need to report that. If you have a more specific time, that would be helpful. Now, if it's this location that you saw it along the state line, that's one thing. But if you're talking more up north here, that would be helpful information for the National Weather Service to have. So let me know, Juan, what your precise location or estimate of where that might have been, and if it is different than what we're seeing here, I'll pass it on to the Weather Service. And the time estimate too would be helpful. South of Fairmont, are we in the clear? So Fairmont now is out of the thunderstorm activity. I would hesitate to say you are not in the tornado warning. The tornado warning storm is right here. Let me scoot it over so I'm not bending over backwards and standing on my head. Here we go. That's where the rotating part of the storm is. So right in the southeast corner of North Dakota, right on the border, crossing into your neighbors off to the east, out there in that, Wilkin County area and Traverse County. Check this out as we go into the Wheaton area, though. Looks like a pretty healthy hail core, but again, the radar is seeing what it's seeing up at elevation. So I'll go ahead and post this up here for you so you can see what I mean. Radar beams go up at an angle away from the radar. So the farther we get away from the radar, the higher in the atmosphere that radar beam is probing. Now we're going to take a look at this, and I'm going to show you how high this is above the ground. So the radar in Aberdeen is measuring that there could be some pretty sizable hail here with reflectivities. The bigger the hailstones, the stronger the colors we see here. When we see the blues and the whites, That's big time hail potential there. But this is 9,000 feet off the ground, so it's not quite 2 miles off the ground, but it's certainly closer to 2 miles than 1.5. So at any rate, a couple of miles above the ground, there's hailstones up there. Are they making their way down to the ground? Your reports make a difference. So upload your photos when it's safe to do so. If you're in Wheaton, there is a tornado producing storm in your general vicinity. So keep that in mind. Let me turn that tool off and we'll go back and take a look. The tornado warning is set to expire here in 5 minutes. There has not been a new report of a tornado. When I analyze this, we have this little inflow area here near Dumont. We do have the rotating part of the storm that we see right back here. Do you see this little finger on the backside? Very interesting. Let me go ahead and take a look at the velocity with regard to that exact area. We've had some rotation here and some rotation here. Do you see the little nugget taken out of the storm right there? It would not surprise Hutch if we see a velocity structure here and here with that storm, a couple different ones. So let's take a look and see what Hutch sees and you see together. Now, when we're looking at a velocity, I'm not seeing, this is good news, I'm not seeing as much evidence here at this particular elevation angle of rotation just north of Wheaton. Now I'll go up and let me see if I can. Okay, now let's go up. All right. See, it's not letting me. Okay, so we'll do that later. So as we take a look, we do see some spin or shear in the atmosphere down here, right over Lake Traverse, just moving in toward Wheaton and points south down there. I will take a quick peek at some local DOT cameras out there and see if I can get any more confirmation and what is going on in Wheaton out there as this storm crosses through. So we got some shear or spin in the storm right here as the crow flies from Wheaton. We're talking about right here, that's only 5 miles to the southwest of Wheaton. That is where we do have some rotation, 3 to 5 miles away down there. So we do have some severe thunderstorms working their way through with 1-inch hail or larger possible as we take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning here. 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and the National Weather Service says, yes, a tornado is indeed possible with this particular storm. All right, let's go back to the DOT cameras as promised here and see if we can get any more information. We'll start with Minnesota since the storm is there. And we do have a camera out there not far from you folks in Wheaton, so let's see what we got. Let's go in a little closer, and as we get out towards Herman here, let's see what we can see from Herman. We see asphalt, and we see clouds, and we see more clouds. Now on the left side of this image here, if you take a look, you got this is what we call a rain-free base, and most tornadoes have and are develop in the rain-free base part of the thunderstorm itself. So that's all I'm seeing from that Minnesota camera perspective. Let's look from the north. Very wet, very heavy rain making its way through. This is the Tenney area there. So you're in the downdraft part of that particular storm as we speak right now. So that is a look at what's going on. That tornado warning does continue, but the storm is about to exit that particular area. I do think that there is some spin taking place. Thank you very much. I have some helpers bringing me some water. Sometimes these little updates get a little long, and I didn't have a glass of water with me when I came down. So thank you very much. We'll see you later. All right, bye-bye. Okay, now as we take a look at the radar, we can tell you that we do have, well, no, let's go to the North Dakota DOT camera here and see if we can see down in southeasternmost North Dakota. As the storm gets a little farther away, we might have some luck at seeing what's in the sky off to the east of this area. And these cameras are all pointed a little bit too much to the pavement for us to see much of anything there. Let's go to this camera. This might be a little better. Still aimed pretty low, which is what these cameras are meant to do. They're here to keep our eyes on road conditions, not Hutch's desire for all weather cameras. So let's go ahead and take a look in northeast South Dakota and see if we can see these storms basically from around that Victor area at the I-29 area right there near the border. If we look off to the east-southeast, we do have the tail edge of these thunderstorms. You can see the sunshine making its way back out right now. Jeanette, thank you very much for your support of stars. As always, I do appreciate that, and I'm humbled by all of your support. Always appreciate the information, says Kirsten. Thank you. Susie says, hey, from Mesa. My mom lives in Ortonville. Yeah, it's a wild ride of weather down here in the Ortonville area right now. So that's what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm sure we're going to be getting some reports from Wheaton here soon. that if this radar data is indeed, accurate here with what it's seeing up aloft, if that's making its way down to the ground, the hail core is moving right over the Wheaton area right now as it's working its way off to the east. So if you happen to be in Norcross, if you happen to be in Herman, it's moving towards you at about 15 miles per hour as I get my melon out of the way. So 15-mile-per-hour movement is not very fast. We'll go ahead and take a look at the timing of this cluster or line of severe thunderstorms moving to the east. I'll speed it up to 15 miles per hour. In Dumont, we're looking at about 622, 657 for Norcross, and Herman by 708. No new tornado warnings coming in, or no new tornado reports coming in, I should say. And now it looks like the tornado warnings have been allowed to expire with this storm as it works its way off to the east, and that is the good news. This is a dangerous storm. There's still a pretty considerable hail threat with this particular storm, and there is some areas of rotation. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued by the National Weather Service office, and this hey there, that's some music. Okay, a thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. It's moving east at 17 miles per hour. It's 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. A tornado cannot be ruled out. I live miles from Tenney, Minnesota. Sheila, thank you for your report there. I know you were saying that you had had a report for us, so that is always helpful when you give a report to let me know your precise location if you can, and that helps me remember where everybody is locating and watching from. So if you're in the path of this storm, it's moving off to the east. It's moving at close to 15 to 20 miles per hour. As the crow flies right now from Herman, the hail core of this storm is right here, and it's about 12 miles off to the west, moving at 12 miles per hour. It could be a while before that Humpty Dumpty lands over the top of you and starts delivering some eggs in the form of hail. And we hope that doesn't happen, but let me just take a moment here and let you know that on hutchesweather.com, it is a website, and I do want to share with you a couple of nuggets on hutchesweather.com. You can always use the interactive radar to zoom into your location and see what's going on in your area. You can see these storms moving, and it will actually give you in the timeline jump here where the storms are heading between now and 6:40, so at 6:16. So you get a little bit of a hint as to where the storms are going to be heading by pushing both mouse buttons down or by using the multiple fingers on your phone. You can tilt the map up, you can zoom in, zoom out, and also you can set your location on hutchesweather.com. Right up here behind my head, there's an update your location, or you can allow hutchesweather.com to follow your location. Now, there's some isolated hail out there tonight, and I have a brand new client I'm excited to announce, a JLA, a crop insurance. My friend Nate there has said, yep, I want to be a sponsor of Hutch's Weather. So without my sponsors, hutchesweather.com would not be possible. And if you click here on the JLA logo, you're going to find out one thing, and I do want to make and take time to pass this information along. If you're worried about hail, you can have hail coverage bound within 2 hours. So give Nate a call. He can get you the information that you need to protect your investment, not only financially, but in hard work. Thank you, producers, for what you do out there. So that's a look at what's going on. Back to the radar here as we see this hail core making its way off to the east at 20 miles per hour. Again, we're looking on the outside of an hour before it gets to Herman, and it will be mainly over rural portions of the county here in Grant County, crossing into the Grant County line here soon. And right near Wheaton and north of Dumont at this particular time, moving east at only 20 miles per hour. So again, this is a storm warning for Traverse County here on the north side, and then Roberts County in South Dakota, at least briefly in Roberts County as the storm is continuing its exit from that particular area. I will show you a look at the velocity so you can get a peek at where the storm still does have some signs of rotation here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. There it is. Okay, so you can see the reds and the greens next to each other on the south side of the storm. That makes a little bit of sense there. We have wind blowing away from the radar, wind blowing towards, so it's right here, right along the Lake Traverse area out there at this particular time. So that's where we have that. It does look like as the crow flies, that rotating part of the storm is going to be approaching the Highway 75 corridor there, New Dumont, in the next couple of minutes. And then the hail core and the very heavy rain and torrential rain making its way right along the highway here, heading in towards Herman in an hour. but between Wheaton and Herman on Highway 27 here over the upcoming several minutes. This storm approaches your area. Seek shelter in an interior room. It might not be a bad idea to do that seeking of shelter on the lowest floor because there has been tornadoes sighted with this particular storm. Elsewhere, we are seeing some strong thunderstorm development up to the north, but nothing nearly as strong. This is the only game in town right now. If I switch the radar back to the Mayville radar, you will see we do have some thunderstorm activity approaching that Badette area, heading in toward Rainy Lake right now, and that is about it. It's very hit and miss. This is what I expected to happen tonight. Not all of us are going to have storms form, but if they do, we could see them get severe fairly quickly. Thank you so much. It does sound like I'm getting some photos uploaded, so if I have some new content here to share with you, I'm going to look it over right now. It's the beauty of Hutch's weather. We do have some storm clouds here from the area, so appreciate your uploading of photos, Jerry. Thank you very much. Let me take a look. Yeah, definitely some towering thunderstorm clouds there. Why not show you what's coming in on hutchesweather.com? So that's going on here. Let's see if I've got any more. All right, very good. So let's take a look at what we got going on hutchesweather.com. Photo upload just come in from the storms. This is taken from, I believe, the Breckenridge, Minnesota area, and you can see these towering, very tall thunderheads working their way in through parts of North Dakota, now crossing the border into Minnesota exclusively. And you can see the pancake top as these rising columns of air flatten out as they hit what's called the tropopause, or the top of the first layer of the atmosphere out there. It's very stable as you go into the stratosphere. So the rising pockets of air just can't punch into that stable layer. And you get those flat top thunderstorms that we like to call anvil clouds. Jerry, thank you so very much for sharing your photos. We do have hutchesweather.com on board where you can upload your photos of the events going on tonight. So thanks so much for your reports. Right now, severe thunderstorm warning does continue. It's until 7 o'clock. So for the next 39 minutes or so for our areas out there in Traverse County. The storm has now exited you folks in Roberts County, South Dakota. So your risk is mainly exiting. And there is a little bit of spin on the south side of the storm, not far from you folks in Wheaton. For now, I'm going to head up and get a glass of water, and I'll keep you updated right here. You're watching Hutch's Weather. Thanks so much for your support. And again, remember to hit the follow button on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and have a good evening, and we'll be back right here.